king!
Barons of England, and my noble lords, though God and fortune have bereft from us victorious riches, scourge of infidels, and clad this land in stole of dismal hue, yet give me leave to joy, and joy you all, that from this womb hath sprung a second hope, a king that may in rule and virtue both succeed his brother in his empery.
My gracious mother queen and barons all, though far unworthy of so high a place as is the throne of mighty England's king, yet John, your lord, contented uncontent, will as he may sustain the heavy yoke of pressing cares that hang upon a crown. My lord of Pembroke and Lord Salisbury, admit the Lord Chatillon to our presence, that we may know what Philip, King of France, by his ambassadors requires of us.
Dare I lay my hand that Eleanor can guess whereto this weighty embassade doth tend? If of my nephew Arthur and his claim, then say, my son, I have not missed my aim.
My Lord Chatillon, welcome into England. How fares our brother Philip, King of France?
My Highness at his coming was in health, and willed me to salute your Majesty and say the message he hath given in charge.
And spare not, man. We are prepared to hear.
Philip, by the grace of God most almighty, King of France, having taken into his guardian and protection Arthur, Duke of Bretagne, son and heir to Geoffrey, thine elder brother, requireth in the behalf of the said Arthur the kingdom of England, with the lordship of Ireland, Poitiers, Anjou, Touraine, Maine. And I attend thine answer.
A small request. Belike he makes account that England, Ireland, Poitiers, Anjou, Touraine, and Maine are nothing for a king to give at once. I wonder what he means to leave for me. Tell Philip he may keep his lords at home with greater honour than to send them thus on embassades that not concern himself, or if they did, would yield but small return.
Is this thine answer?
It is, and too good an answer for so proud a message.
Then, King of England, in my master's name, and in Arthur, Duke of Bretagne's name, I do defy thee as an enemy, and wish thee to prepare for bloody wars.
My lord, that stands upon defiance thus, commend me to my nephew. Tell him that I, Queen Eleanor, his grandmother, upon my blessing, charge him leave his arms, where to his headstrong mother pricks him so. Her pride we know, and know her for a dame that will not stick to bring him to his end, so she may bring herself to rule the realm. Next, wish him to forsake the King of France, and come to me, and to his uncle here, and he shall want for nothing but our hands.
This shall I do, and thus I take my leave.
Convey him safely to the sea, but not in haste, for as we are advised, we mean to be in France as soon as he, to fortify such towns as we possess, in Anjou, Touraine, and in Normandy.
Please, your Majesty, here is the Sheriff of Northamptonshire with certain persons that have late committed a riot, appealing to your Majesty, beseeching your Highness with special cause to hear them.
Will them come near, and while we hear the cause, go to Salisbury and make provision. We move with speed to pass the sea to France. Say, Sheriff, what are these men? What have they done, or whereto tends the course of this appeal?
Please it your Majesty, these two brethren, unnaturally falling at odds about your father's living, have unlawfully committed themselves against trial, appealing from trial in their court to your country. And here I, Thomas Lee, the good Sheriff of Northamptonshire, do deliver them over to their trial.
My Lord of Essex, will the offenders to stand forth and tell the cause of their quarrel?
Gentlemen, it is the king's pleasure that you discover your griefs, and doubt not but you shall have justice.
Please it your Majesty, the wrong is mine. Yet will I abide all wrongs before I once open my mouth to unrip the shameful slander of my parents, the dishonour of myself, and the wicked dealing of my brother in this princely assembly.
Then by my prince's leave shall Robert speak, and tell your Majesty what right I have to offer wrong, as he accounteth wrong. My father, not unknown to your grace, received his spurs of knighthood in the field, at kingly Richard's hands in Palestine, when as the walls of Acon gave him way. His name, Sir Robert Falconbridge of Mountbury. What by succession from his ancestors and warlike service under England's arms, his living did amount to, at his death, 2,000 marks revenue every year. And this, my lord, I challenge for my right, as lawful heir, to Robert Falconbridge.
If firstborn son be heir indubitate by certain rights of England's ancient law, How should myself make any other doubt but I am heir to Robert Falconbridge?
Informed youth, to trouble these our princely ears and make a question in so plain a case. Speak, is this man my elder brother born?
Please it your grace with patience for to hear, I not deny but he mine elder is. Mine elder brother too, yet in such sort as he can make no title to the land.
Doubtful tale is ever I did hear. Thine brother and thine elder are no heir. Explain this dark enigma.
I grant, my lord, he is my mother's son. Base born and base begot, no Falconbridge. Indeed, the world reputes him lawful heir. My father in his life did count him so, and here my mother stands to prove him so. But I, my lord, can prove and do aver, both to my mother's shame and his reproach, he is no heir, nor yet legitimate. Then, gracious lord, let Falconbridge enjoy the living that belongs to Falconbridge, and let not him possess another's right.
Prove this, the land is thine by England's law.
Ungracious youth, to rip thy mother's shame, the womb from whence thou didst thy being take. All honest ears abhor thy wickedness, but gold, I see, doth beat down nature's law.
My gracious lord, and you, thrice reverend day, that see the tears distilling from mine eyes, and scalding sighs blown from a rented heart. For honour and regard of womanhood, let me entreat to be commanded hence. Let not these ears receive the hissing sound of such a viper, who with poisoned words doth macerate the bowels of my soul.
Lady, stand up, be patient a while. And fellow, say, whose bastard is thy brother?
Not for myself, nor for my mother now, but for the honour of so brave a man whom he accuseth of adultery. Here I beseech your grace upon my knees to count him mad, and so dismiss us hence.
Nor mad, nor mazed, but well advised. I charge thee before this royal presence here to be a bastard to King Richard's self. Son to your grace and brother to your majesty, thus bluntly and...
Thou needst not be ashamed of thy kin nor of thy sire, but forward with thy proof.
The proof so plain, the argument so strong, as that your highness and these noble lords and all, save those that have no eyes to see, shall swear him to be a bastard to the king. First, when my father was ambassador in Germany to the emperor, the king lay often at my father's house, and all the realm suspected what befell. And at my father's back return again, my mother was delivered, as 'tis said, 6 weeks before the account my father made. But more than this, look but on Philip's face, his features, actions, and his lineaments, and all his princely presence shall confess he is no other but King Richard's son. Then, gracious lord, rest he, King Richard's son, and let me rest safe in my father's right, that I'm his rightful son, and only heir.
Is this thy proof and all thou hast to say?
I have no more, nor need I greater proof.
First, where thou saidst in absence of thy sire, my brother often lodged in his house. And what of that? Base groom to slander him that honoured his ambassador so much in absence of the man to cheer the wife. This will not hold. Proceed on to the next.
You say she teemed 6 weeks before her time? Why, good Sir Squire, are you so cunning grown to make account of women's reckonings? Spit in your hand, and to your other proofs. Many mischances happen such affairs to make a woman come before her time.
Though, where thou sayest he looketh like the king in action, feature, and proportion, therein I hold with thee. For in my life I never saw so lively counterfeit as Richard Coeur de Lions in him.
Then, good my lord, be you indifferent, judge, and let me have my living and my right.
Nay, hear you, sir. You ran away too fast. Know you not omne simile non est idem, or have read it? Hark ye, good sir, 'twas thus I warrant, and no otherwise. She lay with Sir Robert, your father, and thought on King Richard, my son, and so your brother was formed in this fashion.
Madam, you wrong me thus to jest it out. I crave my right. King John, as thou art king, so be thou just, and let me have my right.
Foolish boy, thy proofs are frivolous, nor canst thou challenge anything thereby. But thou shalt hear how I will help thy claim. This is my doom, and this my doom shall stand irrevocable, as I am king of England. For thou knowest not, will ask of them that know. His mother and himself shall end this strife, and as they say, so shall thy living pass.
My lord, herein I challenge you of wrong to give away my right, and put the doom unto themselves. Can there be likelihood that she will loose, or he will give the living from himself? It may not be, my lord. Why should it be?
My lords, hold him back, and let him hear the doom. Essex, first ask the mother thrice who was his sire.
Lady Margaret, widow of Falconbridge, who was father to thy son Philip.
Please that your majesty, Sir Robert Falconbridge.
This is right. Ask my fellow there if I be a thief.
Ask Philip whose son he is.
Philip, who was thy father?
Master, my lord, and that's a question. And you had not taken some pains with her before, I should have desired you to ask my mother.
Say, who was thy father?
Faith, my lord, to answer you. Sure, he is my father that was nearest my mother when I was gotten. And him I think to be Sir Robert Falconbridge.
Essex, for fashion's sake, demand again, so an end to this contention.
Was ever a man thus wronged as Robert is?
Philip, speak, I say. Who was thy father?
Young man, how now art thou in a trance?
Philip, awake! The man is in a dream.
Philippus Atavi sedite regiment. Well, say so, Philip, sprung of ancient kings. Quo me rapid tempestus. What wind of honour blows this fury forth, or whence proceeds these fumes of majesty? Methinks I hear a hollow echo sound that Philip is the son unto a king. The whistling leaves upon the trembling trees whistle in consort, I am Richard's son. The bubbling murmur of the water's fall records Philippus, Regis Filius. Birds, in their flight, make music with their wings, filling the air with the glory of my birth. Birds, bubbles, leaves, and mountains echo all ring in mine ears that I am Richard's son. Fond man, whither art thou carried? How are thy thoughts enwrapped in honest heaven, forgetful what thou art and whence thou camest? My father's lands cannot maintain these thoughts. These thoughts are far unfitting Falconbridge, and well they may. For why this mounting mind doth soar too high to stoop to Falconbridge? Why, how now? Knowest thou where thou art, and knowest thou who expects thine answer here? Wilt thou upon a frantic, madding vein go lose thy land and say thyself base born? No, keep thy land. Though Richard were thy sire. Whate'er thou thinkest, say thou art Falconbridge.
Speak, man. Be sudden who thy father was.
Is it your majesty, Sir Robert? Philip, that Falconbridge cleaves to thy jaws, it will not out. I cannot by my life say I am son unto a Falconbridge. Let land and living go, 'tis honour's fire that makes me swear King Richard were my sire. Base to a king adds title of more state than knights begotten, though legitimate. Please it your grace, I am King Richard's son.
Robert, revive thy heart, let sorrow die. His faltering tongue not suffers him to lie.
Headstrong fury doth enchant my son.
Philip cannot repent, for he hath done.
Then, Philip, blame not me. Thyself by wilfulness has lost thy living and thy land. Robert, thou art heir to Falconbridge. God give thee joy greater than thy desert.
Why, how now, Philip? Give away thine own.
Madam, I am bold to make myself your nephew, the poorest kinsman that your highness hath. But with this proverb, begin the world anew. Help hands. I have no lands. Honour is my desire. Let Philip live to show himself worthy so great a sire.
Philip, I think thou knewest thy granddam's mind. But cheer thee, boy. I will not see thee want as long as Eleanor hath foot of land. Henceforth thou shalt be taken for my son, and wait on me and on thine uncle here, who shall give honour to thy noble mind.
Philip, kneel down, that thou mayst thoroughly know how much thy resolution pleaseth us. Rise up, Sir Richard the Plantagenet, King Richard's son.
Grant heavens that Philip once may live to show himself worthy the honour of Plantagenet, or basest glory of a bastard's name.
Now, gentlemen, we will away to France to check the pride of Arthur and his mates. Essex, thou shalt be ruler of my realm, and toward the main charges of my wars I'll seize the lazy abbey lovers' lands into my hands to pay my men of war. The Pope and Poperings shall not grease themselves with gold and groats that are the soldiers' due. Thus, forward, lords. Let our command be done, and march we forward mightily to France.
Madam, I beseech you, deign me so much leisure as the hearing of a matter that I long to impart to you.
What's the matter, Philip? I think your suit in secret tends to some money matter, which you suppose burns in the bottom of my chest.
No, madam, it is no such suit as to beg or borrow, but such a suit as might some other grant. I would not now have troubled you with all.
God's name, let us hear it.
Then, madam, thus. Your ladyship sees well how that my scandal grows, but by means of you. In that report hath rumoured up and down I am a bastard, and no Falconbridge. This gross attaint so tilteth in mine thoughts, maintaining combat to abridge mine ease. That field and town, company and alone, whatso I do or whereso I am, I cannot chase the slander from my thoughts. If it be true, resolve me of my sire. For, pardon, madam, if I think amiss, be Philip, and no Falconbridge, his father doubtless was as brave a man. To you on knees, that sometimes spayeth of mistrusting silly merits for his sire. Straining a little bashful modesty, I beg some instance whence I am extraught.
All do to haste me to my grave. And wilt thou too become a mother's cross? Must I accuse myself to close with you, slander myself to quiet your effects? Thou movest me, Philip, this idle talk, which I remit in hope this mood will die.
Nay, lady mother, hear me further yet. Which no conceit drives duty hence a while. Your husband, Falconbridge, was father to that son that carries marks of nature like the sire, the son that blotteth you with wedlock's breach, and holds my right as lineal in descent from him whose form was figured in his face. Can nature so dissemble in her form to make the one as like may be, and in the other print no character to challenge any mark of true descent? My brother's mind is base, and too dull to mount where Philip lodgeth his effects, and his external graces that you view, though I reported, counterpoise not mine. His constitution's plain debility requires the chair, and mine the seat of steel. Then what is he? Or what am I to him when anyone that knows how to carve will scarcely judge us both one country born? This, madam, this hath drove me from myself. And by heaven's eternal lamps, I swear, as cursed Nero with his mother did, so I with you if you resolve me not.
Let mother's tears quench out thy anger's fire and urge no further what thou dost require.
Let son's entreaty sway the mother now, or else she dies. I'll not infringe my vow.
Happy task. Must I recount my shame, blame my misdeeds, or by concealing die?
Mother, be brief. I long to know my name.
Longing die to shroud thy mother's shame.
Come, madam, come. You need not be so loath. The shame is shared equal twixt us both. Is not a slackness in me worthy blame to be so old and cannot write my name? Good mother, resolve me.
And Philip, hear thy fortune and my grief, my honours lost by purchase of thyself, my shame, thy name and husband's secret wrong, all maimed and stained by youth's unruly sway. And when thou know'st, and when thou art extort, what thou knew'st, what suits, what threats, what fears, to move by love, or massacre by death, to yield with love, or end by love's contempt, the mightiness of him that courted me, temper terror with his wanton talk, that something may extenuate the guilt. And let it not advantage me so much, upbraid me rather with the Roman dame that shed her blood to wash away her shame. Why stand I to expostulate the crime with pro and contra now the deed is done? When, to conclude, 2 words may tell the tale, that Philip's father was a prince's son, rich England's rule, the world's only terror he, for honours lost left with child, of thee whose son thou art. And pardon me the rather, the fair King Richard was thy noble father.
Then, Robin Falconbridge, I wish thee joy. My sire a king, and I a landless boy. God's lady mother, the world is in my debt. There's something owing to Plantagenet. Aye, marry, sir, let me alone for game. I'll act some wonders now I know my name. By blessed Mary, I'll not sell that pride for England's wealth and all the world beside. Sit fast. Proudest of my father's foes. Away, good mother, there the comfort goes.
Now again we approach the title of thy claim, young Arthur, in the Albion territories, scaring proud Angers with a puissant siege. Brave Austria, cause of Coeur de Leon's death, is
also come to aid thee in thy wars, and all our forces join for Arthur's right. And, but for causes of great consequence, pleading delay till news from England come. Twice should not Titan hide him in the west to cool the fetlocks of his weary team, till I had, with an unresisted shock, controlled the manage of proud Angers' walls, or made a forfeit of my fame to chance.
Maybe that John in conscience or in fear to offer wrong, where you impugn the ill, shall send such calm conditions back to France, as shall rebate the edge of fearful wars. If so, forbearance is a deed well done.
Mother, possession of a crown is much, and John, as I have heard reported of a present vantage, would adventure far. The world can witness in his brother's time he took upon him rule and almost reign. Then must it follow as a doubtful point he'll resign the rule unto his nephew? I rather think the menace of the world sounds in his ears as threats of no esteem. And sooner would he scorn Europa's power than lose the smallest title he enjoys. For question this, he is an Englishman.
Why, are the English peerless in compare? Brave cavaliers as e'er that island bred have lived and died and dead and done enough, yet ne'er graced their country for the cause. England is England, bearing good and bad, and John of England is as other Johns. Trust me, young Arthur, if thou likest in my rede, praise thou the French that help thee in this need.
The Englishman hath little cause, I trow, to spend good speeches on so proud a foe. Why, Arthur, here's his spoil that now is gone, whom when he lived outroved his brother John. The hasty curs that lie so long to catch, come halting home and meet their overmatch. Good news comes now. Here's the ambassador.
In good time. Welcome, my lord to What news? Was on a cause for our command.
Be I not brief to tell your highness all, he will approach to interrupt my tale, for one Southbottom brought us both to France. He, on his part, will try the chance of war, and if his words infer assured truth, will lose himself and all his followers, ere yield unto the least of your demands. The mother queen, she taketh on amain against Lady Constance, counting her the cause that of effect this claim to Albion, conjuring Arthur with a grandam's care to leave his mother, willing him submit his state to John and her protection, who, as she said, are studious for his good. More circumstance the season intercepts. This is the sum which briefly I have shown.
This bitter wind must nip somebody's spring sudden and brief. Why so? 'Tis harvest weather. But say, Chatillon, what persons of encounter with him?
Of England, Earl Pembroke and Salisbury, the only noted men of any name. Next them, a bastard of the king's deceased, tough and venturous, a hardy wildhead, with many other men of high resolve. Then is there with them Eleanor, mother queen, and Blanche her niece, daughter to the king of Spain. These are the prime birds of this hot adventure.
Seemeth, John, an overdaring spirit affects some frenzy in thy rash approach, treading my confines with thy armoured troops. I rather look for some submiss reply touching the claim thy nephew Arthur makes to that which thou unjustly dost usurp.
For that Chatillon can discharge you all. I list not plead my title with my tongue, nor came I hither with intent of wrong, to France or thee or any right of thine, but in defence and purchase of my right. The town of Angers, which thou dost begird in the behalf of Lady Constance, son whereto nor he nor she can lay just claim.
Yes, false intruder, if that just be just, and headstrong usurpation put apart, Arthur, my son, and to thy elder brother, without ambiguous shadow of dissent, is sovereign to the substance thou withholds.
Misgoverned gossip, stained this resort, occasion of these undecided jars. I say that no, to check thy vain suppose, thy son hath naught to do with that he claims. For proof whereof I can infer a will, that bars the way he urgeth by descent.
No will indeed, a crabbed woman's will, when the devil is no overseer, and proud Dame Eleanor sole executress. More wills than so, on peril of my soul, were never made to hinder Arthur's right.
But say there was. Sure there can be none. The law intends such testament as void, where right descent can no way be impeached.
Peace, Arthur, peace. Thy mother makes thee wings to soar with peril after Icarus, and trust me, young lady, for thy father's sake, I pity much the hazard of thy youth.
Beshrew you, else how pitiful you are. ready to weep to hear him ask his own. Sorrow betide such grandams and such grief, that minister poison for pure love. But who so blind as cannot see this beam, that you, forsooth, would keep your cousin down, for fear his mother should be used too well? Aye, there's the grief. Confusion catch the brain that hammers shifts to stop a prince's brain.
Impatient, frantic, common slanderer, immodest dame, unnurtured quarreller, I tell thee I, not envy, to thy son, but justice makes me speak as I have done.
Here's no proof that shows your son a king.
What once my sword will more at large set down.
But that may break before the truth be
And
known.
this may hold till all his rights be shown.
Good words, Sir Sauce, your betters are in place.
Not you, Sir Doughty, with your lion's case.
Ah, Troipatitis soul to whom that spoil belonged. Ah, Richard, how thy glory here is rolled.
Methinks that Richard's pride and Richard's fall should be a precedent to affright you all.
What words are these? Why do my sinews shake? My father's foe, clad in my father's spoil. 1,000 furies kindle with revenge. This heart that choler keeps a consistory, searing my inwards with a brand of hate. How doth the lector whisper in mine ears? Delay not, Philip. Kill the villain straight. Disrobe him of that matchless monument, thy father's triumph o'er the savages. Base herd grew. Coward. Peasant, worse than a threshing slave. What makest thou with the trophy of a king? Shamest thou not, coistrel? Loathsome dunghill swad, to grace thy carcass with an ornament too precious for a monarch's coverture. Scarce can I temper due obedience unto the presence of my sovereign from acting outrage on this trunk of hate. Arm thee, traitor, honor of renown. For by his soul I swear, by my father's soul, twice will I not review the morning's rise till I have torn that trophy from thy back and split thy heart for wearing it so long. Philip hath sworn. If it be not done, let not the world repute me Richard's son.
Nay, soft, Sir Bastard, hearts are not split so soon. Let them rejoice at the end do win, and take this lesson at thy foeman's hand. Pour not thy life to get thy father's skin.
Well may the world speak of his knightly valour that wins this high for a lady's favour.
Ill may I thrive, and nothing brook with me. Shortly I present it not to thee.
Broadings forbear! For time is coming fast, that deeds may try, what words cannot determine. And for the purpose of the cause you come, it seemeth you set right in chance of war, yielding no other reason for your claim, but so and so, because it shall be so. So, wrong shall be suborned by trust of strength, a tyrant's practice. To invest himself where weak resistance giveth wrong the way. To check the which, in holy lawful arms, I, in the right of Arthur, Geoffrey's son, am come before this city of Angers to bar all other false supposed claim from whence or howsoe'er the error springs. And in this quarrel, unto my princely word, I'll fight it out unto the latest man.
No, King of France, I will not be commanded by any power or prince in Christendom to yield an instance how I hold mine own, more than to answer that mine own is mine. But wilt thou see me parley with the town to hear them offer me allegiance, fealty, and homage as true legionmen ought?
Summon. I'll not believe it till I see it. When I see it, I'll soon change it.
You men of Angers, and as I take it, my loyal subjects, I have summoned you to the walls. To dispute on my right or to think you doubtful therein, which I am persuaded you are not. In few words, our brother's son, backed with the King of France, have beleaguered your town upon a false pretended title to the same. In defence whereof I, your liege lord, have brought our powers here to fence you from the usurper, to free your intended servitude, and utterly to supplant the foeman to my right and your rest. Say then, who keep you the town for?
For our lawful king.
I was no less persuaded. Why then, in God's name, open your gates and let me enter.
And it please your highness, We control not your title, neither will we rashly admit your entrance. If you be king, with all obedience we keep it to your use. If not king, our rashness were to be impeached for yielding without more considerate trial. We answer not as men lawless, but to the behoof of him that proves lawful.
I shall not come in then.
No, my lord, till we know more.
Then hear me speak in the behalf of Arthur, son of Geoffrey, elder brother to John. His title manifested without contradiction to the kingdom and crown of England, with Angers and divers towns this side the sea. Will you acknowledge him, your liege lord, who speaketh in my word, to entertain you with all favours as befits a king to his subjects, or a friend to his well-willers, or else stand to the peril of your contempt, as his title is proved by the sword?
We answer as before. Till you have proven one right, we acknowledge none right. He that tries himself our sovereign, for him and in his right we hold our town, as desirous to know the truth, as loath to subscribe before we know. More than this we cannot say, and more than this we dare not do.
Then John, on behalf of Arthur Plantagenet, whose right and patrimony thou detainest, as I doubt not, ere the day end, in a set battle make thee confess, whereupon, with a zeal to right, I challenge thee.
I accept the challenge and turn the defiance to thy throat.
Silent ebon cave. Besiege his thoughts with dismal fantasies and ghastly objects of pale threatening morse. Affright him every minute with stern looks. Let shadow turn to terror in his thoughts. Let the terror make the coward mad. And in his madness let him fear pursuit, and so in frenzy let the coward die. Here is the ransom that allays his rage. First freehold that Richard left his son, with which I shall affright his living foes, as Hector's statue did the fainting Greeks.
John, by the grace of God, King of England, Lord of Ireland, Anjou and Touraine, hereby demandeth once again of you, his subjects of Angers, that you will quietly surrender up the town into his hands.
Philip, by the grace of God, King of France, demand on behalf of Arthur, Duke of Bretagne, if you surrender the town to his arms, to the use of the said Arthur.
Heralds, tell the two victorious princes that we, the poor inhabitants of Angers, require a parley of their majesties.
Answer to the townsman say.
Will Angers yield to Philip, King of France?
The townsmen on the walls accept your grace.
In crave a parley of your majesty.
You citizens of Angers, have your eyes beheld the slaughter that our English bows have made upon the coward, fraudful French? And have you wisely pondered thereupon your gain in yielding to the English king?
Their loss in yielding to the English king. John, I saw from out their highest towers the chevaliers of France and crossbows shot make lanes of slaughtered bodies through thine host, and are resolved to yield to Arthur's right.
Aye, Philip, though thou bravest it for the wars, thy conscience knows that John hath won the field.
Whate'er thy conscience knows, thy army feels that Philip hath the better of the day.
Philip, indeed, hath got the lion's case, which here he holds to Limoges' disgrace. Face you, to fly and leave such spoils behind. For this thou knew'st of force to make me stay, it fared with thee as with the mariner. spying the hugy whale, whose monstrous bulk doth bear the waves like mountains for the wind, but throws out empty vessels, so to stay his fury while the ship doth sail away. Philip, 'tis I. And for this princely presence, madam, I humbly lay it at your feet, being the first adventure I achieved and first exploit your grace did me enjoy. Yet many more I long to be enjoyed.
Philip, I take it, and I thee command to wear the same as thy father did. Therewith receive this favour at my hands, to encourage thee to follow Richard's fame.
Citizen of Angers, are ye mute? Arthur or John? Say which shall be your king.
We care not which, if once we knew the right. But till we know, we will not yield our right.
Might Philip counsel two so mighty kings as are the kings of England and of France, he would advise your graces to unite. Knit your forces against these citizens, pulling their battered walls about their ears. The town wants one, then strike about the claim, for they are minded to delude you both.
Kings, princes, lords, and knights assembled here, the citizens of Angers, all by me, entreat your majesty to hear them speak. And as you like the motion they shall make, so to account and follow their advice.
Speak on. We give thee leave.
Then thus, whereas that young and lusty knight incites you on to knit your kingly strengths, the motion cannot choose but please the good, and such as love the quiet of the state. But how, my lords, how was your strengths be knit? Not to oppress your subjects and your friends, and fill the world with brawls and mutinies, but unto peace your forces should be knit, to live in princely league and amity. Do this, the gates of Angers shall stand wide open to your heart's content. To make this peace a lasting bond of love remains one only honourable means, which by your pardon I shall here display. Louis, the Dauphin, the heir of France, a man of noted valour throughout the world, is yet unmarried. Let him take to wife the beauteous daughter of the King of Spain, niece to King John, the lovely Lady Blanche. With her in marriage, her uncle will give castles and towers as fit as such a match. The kings thus joined in league of perfect love, they may so deal with Arthur, Duke of Bretagne, who is yet young and unmeet to reign. Thus have I given what the city gave in charge, and as upon conditions you agree, so stand we content to yield the town.
A proper peace, if such a motion hold. These kings bear arms for me and for my right, and they shall share my lands to make them friends.
Son John, follow this motion as thou lovest thy mother. Make league with Philip, yield to anything. Louis shall have my niece, and then be sure Arthur shall have small succour out of France.
Brother of France, you hear the citizens, then tell me how you mean to deal herein.
Why, John, what canst thou give unto thy niece that has no foot of land but Arthur's right?
My lady, citizens, I like your choice. A lovely damsel is the Lady Blanche, worthy the heir of Europe for her fair.
What, king? Why stand ye gazing in a trance? Why, how now, lords? Cursed citizen, to fill and tickle the ambitious ears with hope of gain that springs from Arthur's lips. Some dismal planet at thy birth they reigned. Thou now hast seen the fall of all thy hope.
Lady, Duke of Bretagne, know ye both the King of France respects his honour more than to betray his friends and followers? Princess of Spain, could you affect my son if we upon conditions could agree?
Swoons, madam, take an English gentleman. Slave as I was, I thought to have moved the match. Granny, you made me half a promise once that Lady Blanche will bring me wealth enough and make me heir of store of English land.
Peace, Philip. I will look thee out a wife. We must with policy compound this strife.
If Louis get her, well, I say no more. Let the frolic Frenchman take no scorn if Philip front him with an English horn.
Lady, what answer make you to the King of France? Can you effect the Dauphin for your lord?
I thank the king that likes of me so much to make me bride unto so great a prince. But give me leave, my lord, to pause on this, lest being too forward in the cause it may be blemish to my modesty. Son John, and worthy Philip, King of France, do confer a while about the dower, and I will school my modest niece so well that she shall yield as soon as you have them.
Aye, there's the wretch that brought ship all this ill. I fly not upon the beldam's face, and with my nails pull forth her hateful eyes.
Sweet mother, cease these hasty madding fits. For my sake, let my grandam have her will. Or would she with her hands pull forth my heart, I could afford it to appease these broils. But mother, let us wisely wink it all, lest farther harms ensue our hasty speech.
Brother of England, what dowry wilt thou give unto my son in marriage with your niece?
First, Philip knows her dowry out of Spain to be so great as may content a king, but more to mend and amplify the same, I give in money 30,000 marks. For land I leave it to thine own demand.
Then I demand Vauclesson, Touraine, Maine, Poitiers, and Anjou. These 5 provinces which thou, as King of England, holdst in France. Then shall our peace be soon concluded on.
No less than 5 such provinces at once.
Mother, what shall I do? My brother got these lands with much effusion of our English blood, and should I give them all away at once?
John, give it to him. So may thou keep the residue sans jeopardy.
Philip, bring forth thy son. Here is my niece, and here in marriage I do give with her Vauclesson, Poitiers, Anjou, Touraine, Maine, and 30,000 marks of stipend coin. Now, citizens, how like you this match?
We joy to see so sweet a peace begun.
Lewis with Blanche shall ever live content. Now, King John, what say you to the Duke? Father, speak as you may on his behalf.
Brother John, be good unto thy nephew here, and give him somewhat that shall please thee best.
Arthur, though thou troublest England's peace, here I give thee Bretagne for thine own, and the earldom of Richmond, and this rich city of Angers withal.
And if thou seek to please thine uncle John, shall see, my son, how I shall make it.
Now everything is sorted to this end. Let's in and there prepare the marriage rites, which in St. Mary's Chapel presently shall be performed ere this presence part.
Madam, good cheer. These drooping languishments are no redress to salve our awkward house. If heavens have concluded these events, to small avail is bitter pensiveness. Seasons will change, and so our present griefs may change with them, and all to our relief.
Ah, boy. 9 years I see her about agree to look into the bottom of these cares. But I, who see the poise that weigheth down thy wheel, my wish, and all the willing means wherewith thy fortune and thy fame should mount. What joy, what ease, what rest can lodge in me, with whom all hope and hap doth disagree.
Yet ladies' tears and cares, and solemn shows rather than helps, heap up more work for woes.
If any power will hear widow's plaint, that from a wounded soul implores revenge, send fell contagion to infect this clime. This cursed country where the traitors breathe, whose perjury, as proud Briareus, beleaguers all the sky with his belief. He promised, Arthur, he sware it to fence thy right and check thy foeman's pride. But now, black-spotted perjurer as he is, he takes the truth with Eleanor's downward brand, and marries Lewis to her lovely niece, sharing thy fortune and thy birthday's gift between these lovers. Ill betide the match, as they shoulder thee from out thy own, and triumph in a widow's tearful care. So heavens cross them with a thriftless course. All the blood is spilled on either part, closing the crannies of the thirsty earth, prone to love game and a bridal feast. Must thy birthright bid the wedding bands? Oh, helpless boy, hopeless and helpless too, whom misfortune seems no yoke at all. Thy imminent mishaps wounded thy mother's thoughts with feeling care. Why looks thou pale? Colour flies thy face. I trouble now the fountain of thy youth, and make it moody with we must obscure this moan with melody, lest worse unwrack and shear our malcontent.
Now, sweet St. Edmund, holy saint in heaven, whose shrine is sacred, high esteemed on earth, infuse a constant zeal in all our hearts to prosecute this act of mickle weight. Lord Beauchamp, say, what friends have you procured?
The Lord Fitzwalter, Lord Percy, and Lord Ross vowed meeting here this day, the 11th hour.
Under the cloak of holy pilgrimage, by that same hour on warrant of their faith, Philip Plantagenet, a bird of swiftest wing, Lord Eustace Vesky, Lord Cressy, and Lord Mowbray appointed meeting at St. Edmund's shrine.
Until their presence I'll conceal my tale. Sweet complices of holy Christian acts that venture for the purchase of renown, thrice welcome to the league of high resolve that pawned their bodies for their souls' regard.
Now wanteth but the rest to end this work. In pilgrim habit comes our holy troop, a furlong hence with swift, unwonted pace.
See what a thing is zeal that spurs them on with fervence to this shrine. Now, joy come to them for their true intent. And in good time, here come the war men all that sweat in body by the mind's disease. Hap and heart's ease, brave lordings, be your lot.
Amen, my lord. The like betide your lap, and all that travail in a Christian cause.
Cheerly replied, brave branch of King Eustace. A right Plantagenet should reason so. But silence, lords, attend our coming's cause. The servile yoke that painted us with toil, on strong instinct hath framed this conventicle, to ease our necks of servitude's contempt. Should I not name the foeman of our rest, which of you, all so barren in conceit as cannot level at the man I mean? But lest enigma's shadow shining truth, plainly to paint, as truth requires no art, the effect of this report importeth this: to root and clean extirpate tyrant John. Tyrant, I say, appealing to the man, if any here, that loves him. And I ask, what kindship, lenity, or Christian reign rules in the man to bar this foul impeach? First, I infer the Chester's banishment for reprehending him on most unchristian crimes, with special notice of a tyrant's will. But were this all, the devil would be saved. But this the least of many thousand faults that circumstance with leisure might display. But should I close this period with an act abhorring in the ears of Christian man? His cousin's death, that sweet, unguilty child, untimely butchered by the tyrant's means. Here is my proofs, as clear as gravel brooks. And on the same I further must infer that who upholds a tyrant in his course is culpable of all his damned guilt, to show the which is yet to be described. My Lord of Pembroke, show what is behind. Only I say that were there nothing else to move us but the Pope's most dreadful curse, whereof we are assured if we fail, it were enough to instigate us all with earnestness of spirit to seek a means to dispossess John of his regiment.
Well hath my Lord of Essex told his tale, which I aver for most substantial truth. And more to make the matter to our mind, I say that Lewis, in challenge of his wife, hath title of an uncontrolled plea to all that longeth to our English crown. Short tale to make, the See Apostolic hath offered dispensation for the fault, if any be, as trusting none I know, by planting Lewis in the usurper's room. This is the cause of all our presence here, that on the holy altar we protest to aid the right of Lewis with goods and life, who, on our knowledge, is in arms for England. What say you, lords?
As Pembroke saith, affirmeth Salisbury. Fair Lewis of France, that spoused Lady Blanche, hath title of an uncontrolled strength, to England and what longeth to the crown, in right whereof, as we are true informed, the prince is hitherward marching in arms. Our purpose to conclude that with a word is to install him, as we may devise, king of our country, in the tyrant's stead. And so the warrant on the altar sworn, and so the intent for which we hither came.
My Lord of Salisbury, I cannot couch my speeches with the needful words of art, as doth beseem such a weighty work. But what my conscience and my duty will, I purpose to impart. For Chester's exile, playing his busy wit, but meddled where his duty quite forbade. For any private causes that you have, methink they should not mount to such a height as to depose a king in their revenge. For Arthur's death, King John was innocent. He, desperate, was the deathsman to himself, which you, to make a colour to your crime, unjustly do impute to his default. Where fell traitorism hath residence, there wants no words to set despite in work. Say 'tis shame, and worthy all reproof to rest such petty wrongs in terms of right against the king anointed by the Lord. Why, Salisbury, admit the wrongs are true. Yet subjects may not take in hand revenge and rob the heavens of their proper power where sitteth he to whom revenge belongs. But doth a pope, a priest, a man of pride give charters for the lives of lawful kings? What can he bless? Or who regards his curse but such as give to man and takes from God? I speak it in the sight of God above. There's not a man that dies in your belief, but sells his soul perpetually to pain. Hey, Lewis, leave God. Kill John, please hell. Make havoc of the welfare of your souls. For here I leave you, in the sight of heaven, a troop of traitors. Food for hellish fiends. If you desist, then follow me as friends. If not, then do your worst as hateful traitors. For Lewis, his right, alas, 'tis too lame. A senseless claim, if truth be title's friend. In brief, if this be cause of our resort, our pilgrimages to the devil's shrine. I came not, lords, to troop as traitors do, nor will I counsel in so bad a cause. Please you return, we go again as friends. If not, I to my king! You where traitors please.
A hot young man. And so, my lords, proceed. I let him go, better lost than found.
What say you, lords? Will all the rest proceed? Will you all with me swear upon the holy altar that you will, to the death, be aid to Lewis and enemy to John? Every man lay his hand by mine in witness of his heart's accord. We swear. Well then, every man to arms to meet the king, who is already before London. What news, Harold?
The right Christian prince, my master, Louis of France, is at hand, coming to visit your honours. Directed hither by the right honourable Richard, Earl of Biggot, to confer with your honours.
How near is his highness?
Ready to enter your presence.
Fair lords of England, Lewis salutes you all as friends and firm well-willers of his will, at whose request from plenty flowing France, crossing the ocean with a southern gale, he is in person come at your commands to undertake and gratify withal the fullness of your favours profit him. But, world's brave men, omitting promises till timely minister on more amends, I must acquaint you with our fortune's course. The heavens, dewing favours on my head, have, in their conduct, brought me self with victory along your well-manured bounds, with small repulse and little cross of chance. Your city, Rochester, by some divine instinct and great applause, laid arms aside, and from the hollow halls of Tennessee, echo apace replied, Viva le roi! From thence along the wanton rolling glade to Toynonville, your fair metropolis. With luck came Lewis with his troops of France, waving our ensigns in the dallying winds, with some assault and small defence. Heavens, may I say, are not my warlike troop, tempered their hearts to take a friendly foe, within the compass of their high-built walls, giving me title as it seemed they wish. Thus, fortune, lords, acts as your forwardness, means in content of blue of former grief. And may I live but to requite you all. World's wish were mine, in dying noted yours.
Welcome. The balm that closeth up our wounds, the sovereign medicine for our quick recure, the anchor of our hope, the only prop whereon depends our lives, our lands, our weal, without which, as sheep without the herd, except a shepherd winking at the wolf, we stray, we pine, we run to 1,000 hearts. No marvel then, though with unwonted joy, we welcome him who beateth woes away.
I think you all of this religious league, the holy knot of Catholic consent. I cannot name you lordings man by man, but as a stranger unacquainted yet, in general I promise faithful love. Lord Bigot brought me to St. Edmund's shrine, giving me warrant of a Christian oath that this assembly came devoted here to swear, according as their package showed, homage and faithful love to ourselves. I need not doubt the surety of your will, since well I know the times have yielded on their own accords. Yet for a fashion, not for a misbelief, but my eyes must witness, and these ears must hear your oath upon the holy altar sworn. And after, march to end our coming's cause.
That we intend no other than good truth. All that at present of this holy league, in presence of His Highness, for confirmation of our better trust, swear with me the sequel that myself shall utter here. I, Thomas Plantagenet, Earl of Salisbury, swear upon the altar and by the holy army of saints, homage and allegiance to the right Christian prince, Louis of France, as true and rightful king to England, Cornwall and Wales, and to their territories, in defence whereof I swear with all forwardness.
As the noble Earl hath sworn, so swear we all.
I rest assured on your holy oath. And on this altar like sort I swear, love to all and princely recompense, to guerdon your good wills unto the full. And since I am at this religious shrine, my good well-willers, give us leave alone, that we may use some orisons, ourselves apart, to thank the holy heavens, and that they may smile upon our purposes and bring us to a fortunate event.
We leave your highness to your good intent.
Now, Vicomte Madam, what remains behind? Trust me, these traitors to their sovereign state are not to be trusted in any sort.
Indeed, my lord. They that infringe their oaths and play the rebel against their native king will for as little cause revolt from you, if ever opportunity incites. For once forsworn, and never after sound, there's no affiance after perjury.
Well, Melon, well, let's smooth with them a while, until we have as much as they can do. And when their virtue is exhaled dry, I'll hang them for the guerdon of their help. Meanwhile, we'll use them as a precious poison to undertake the issue of our hope.
It's policy, my lord, to bait our hooks with merry smiles and the promise of much weight. But when your highness needeth them no more, 'tis good to make sure work of them, lest indeed they prove to you to their natural king.
Trust me, my lord. Right well are you advised. Venom for use but never for a sport is to be dallied with, lest it infect. Were you installed, as soon I hope you shall, be free from traitors, and dispatch them all.
That's what I mean. And on this altar I swear to you all, there's not an English trait among you all. John once dispatched, and I, fair England's king, shall on his shoulders bear his head one day. But I shall crop it for a gilt's desert. Nor shall their heirs enjoy their signories, but perish by their parents' foul amiss. This have I sworn, and this shall I perform if e'er I come unto the height I hope. Lay down your hands, and swear the same with me.
We swear.
I say, now call them in and speak with them. The smile of France shall feed an English fool. Bear them in hands as friends, so they be, but in hearts as traitors as they are. Now, famous followers, chieftains of the world, have we solicited in hearty prayer. March we now with our power to rouse the tyrant from his chieftess hold, and when our labours have a prosperous end, each man shall reap the fruits of his desert. And so resolved, brave followers, let us hence.
All health and happiness to our sovereign lord the king.
Nor health nor happiness hath John at all. But say, Abbot, am I welcome to thy house?
Such a welcome as the abbey can afford, your majesty shall be assured.
The king thou seest is weak and very faint. What victuals hast thou to refresh his grace?
Good store, that you need not fear. For Lincolnshire and these our abbey grounds were never fatter, nor in better plant.
Thou needst never doubt of cakes, Philip. Nor kings nor lords are seated half so well as are the abbeys throughout all the lands. If any plot of ground do pass another, the friars fasten on it straight. But let us in to taste of their repast. It goes against my heart to feed with them or be beholden to such abbey grooms.
Is this the king that never loved a friar? Is this the man that doth condemn the Pope? Is this the man that robbed the Holy Church and yet will fly into a friary? Accursed be Swinston Abbey, abbot, friars, monks, nuns and clerks and all that dwells therein, if wicked John escape alive away. Now, if thou wilt look to merit heaven, and be canonised for a holy saint, to please the world with a deserving work, be thou the man to set thy country free, and murder him that seeks to murder thee.
Why art not thou within to cheer the king? He now begins to mend and will to meet.
What if I say to strangle him in his sleep?
What? At thy Maximus? Away and seek some means for to pastime the king.
I'll set a dudgeon dagger at his heart, and with a mallet knock him on the head.
Alas, what means this monk? To murder me? Dare lay my life, he'll kill me for my place.
I'll poison him, and it shall ne'er be known, and then shall I be the chiefest of my house.
If I were dead indeed, he is the next. But I'll away, for why the monk is mad, and in his madness he will murder me.
My lord, I cry your lordship mercy, I saw you.
Alas, good Thomas, do not murder me, and thou shalt have my place with 1,000 thanks.
I murder you? God shield from such a thought.
If thou wilt need it, yet let me say my prayers.
I will not hurt your lordship, good my lord. But if you please, I will impart a thing that shall be beneficial to us all.
Thou wilt not hurt me, holy monk. Say on.
You know, my lord, the king is in our house.
True.
You know likewise the king abhors a friar.
True.
And he that loves not a friar is our enemy.
Thou sayest true.
Then the king is our enemy. Why then should we not kill our enemy? And the king being our enemy, why then should we not kill the king?
Oh, blessed monk. I see God moves thy might to free this land from tyrant slavery, but who dare venture for to do this deed?
Who dare? Why, I, my lord, dare do the deed. I'll free my country and the church from foes, and merit heaven by the killing of a king.
Thomas, kneel down. And if thou art resolved, I will absolve thee here from all thy sins. For why the deed is meritorious. Forward, and fear not. For every month our friars shall sing a mass for Thomas slain.
God and St. Francis prosper my attempt. For now, my lord, I go about my work.
Thus victory in bloody laurel-clad follows the fortunes of young Lodovick. The Englishmen, as daunted at their sight, fall as the fowl before the eagle's eyes. Only 2 crosses of contrary change do nip my heart and vex me with unrest. Lord Mellon's death, the one part of my soul. A braver man did never live in France. The other grief I, at Sir Gaul indeed, to think that Dover Castle should hold against all assault and rest impregnable. Ye warlike race of Francus, Hector's sons, march we to rouse the tyrant John. The better half of England is our own, and towards the conquest of the other half, we have the face of all the English lords. What then remains but overrun the land? Be resolute, my warlike followers, and if good fortune serves as she begins, the poorest peasant in the realm of France shall be a master over an English lord. Fellow, what news?
Plead this, your grace. The Earl of Salisbury, Pembroke, Essex, Clare, and Arundel, with all the barons that did fight for thee, are a sudden fled with all their powers to join with John to drive thee back again.
Lewis, my lord, why standst thou in amaze? Gather thy troops. Hope not of help from France, for all thy forces, being 50 sail, containing 20,000 soldiers, with victual and munition for the war, putting from Calais in unlucky time, did cross the seas, and on the Goodwin sands the men, munition, and the ships are lost.
More news, speak on.
John, my lord, flying the fury of your conquering sword, as Pharaoh erst within the bloody sea, so he and his, inbind with the tide on Lincoln washes, all were overwhelmed. The barons fled, their forces cast away.
Never heard such unexpected news.
Yet Lodovick revived by dying heart. King John and all his forces are consumed. The less thou needst to be aid of English earls, the less thou needst to grieve thy navy's rack, and follow time's advantage with success.
Brave Frenchmen, armed with magnanimity, march after Lewis, who will chase you on to once a baron's power that once ahead. For John of England is drowned, and I am fair England's king. Though our men and munition be lost, Philip of France will send us fresh supplies.
Dispatch the king desires to eat, but it might just last for lovely there to church.
I am of that mind too, and so it should be, and we might be our own carvers. I marvel why they dine here in the orchard.
I know not, nor care not, the king comes.
Come, Lord Abbot. Shall we sit together?
Pleaseth your grace. Sit.
Take your places, sirs. No pomp in penury. All beggars and friends may come where necessity keeps the house, courtesy has barred the table. Sit down, Philip.
My lord, I am loath to allude so much to the proverb, honours change manners. A king is a king, though fortune do her worst, and we as dutiful, in despite of her frown, as if your highness were now in the highest type of dignity.
Come, no more ado. You tell me much of dignity, you'll mar my appetite in a surfeit of sorrow. What cheer, Lord Abbot? Methinks you frown like an host that knows his guest hath no money to pay the rent.
Oh, no, my liege, if I frown at all, it is for I fear this cheer too homely a welcome to entertain so mighty a guest as your majesty.
I think rather, my lord abbot, that you remember my last being here, when I came in progress for pouches. The rancour of his heart breaks out in his countenance to show he hath not forgotten.
Not so, my lord. You and the meanest follower of his majesty are heartily welcomed.
Wassail, my liege, and as a poor monk may say, welcome to Swinston.
Begin, monk, and report hereafter thou wast taster to a king.
As much health to your highness as to my own heart.
I pledge thee, kind monk.
The merriest draught that ever was drunk in England. Am I not too bold with your highness?
Not a whit, all friends and fellows for a time.
If the innards of a toad be a compound of any proof, why, so it works.
Stay, Philip. Where's the monk?
He is dead, my lord.
Then drink not, Philip, for a world of wealth.
What cheer, my liege, your colour begins to change.
Son of my life. Oh, Philip, I am poisoned. The monk, the devil. The poison begins to rage. Will depose myself a king from reign.
This abbot hath an interest in this act. At all adventures, take thou that from me. There lies the abbot. How beloved. Death, march with the monk unto the gates of hell. How fares, my lord?
Philip, some drink. Oh, for the frozen Alps to tumble on and cool this inward heat that rageth as the furnace sevenfold hot to burn the holy three in Babylon. Power after power forsake their proper power. Only the heart impugns with fate resist the fierce invade of him that conquers kings. Help, God. Oh, pain. Die, John, O plague, inflicted on thee for thy grievous sins. Fill a chair, pride to fight, and grave my legs to stain the carriage of my king.
And good mind, with patience conquer grief and bear this pain with kingly fortitude.
Methinks I see a catalogue of sin wrote by a fiend in marble characters, the least enough to lose my part in heaven. Methinks the devil whispers in mine ears and tells me 'tis in vain to hope for grace. I must be damned for Arthur's sudden death. I see 1,000 men come to accuse me for my wrong on earth, and there is none so merciful a God that will forgive the number of my sins. How have I lived but by another's lots? What have I loved but rack of others' weal? When have I vowed and not infringed mine oath? Where have I done a deed deserving well? How, what, when, and where have I bestowed a day that tended not to some notorious ill? My life, replete with rage and tyranny, craves little pity for so strange a death. Or who will say that John deceased too soon? Who will not rather say he lived too long? Dishonour did attaint me in my life, and shame attendeth John unto his death. Why did I escape the fury of the French, and died not by the temper of their swords? Shameless my life, and shamefully it ends, scorned by my foes, disdained of my friends.
Forgive the world and all your earthly foes, and call on Christ, who is your latest friend.
My tongue doth falter. Philip, I tell thee, man, since John did yield unto the priest of Rome, nor he nor his have prospered on the earth. Cursed are his blessings, and his curse is bliss. But in the spirit I cry unto my God, as did the kingly prophet David cry, whose hands as mine with murder were attaint. I am not he, shall build the Lord a house, or rid these locusts from the face of earth. But if my dying heart deceive me not, from out these loins shall spring a kingly branch, whose arms shall reach unto the gates of Rome, and with his feet tread down the strumpet's pride that sits upon the chair of Babylon. Philip, my heartstrings break, and in the faith of Jesu, John doth die.
See how he strives for life. O unhappy Lord, whose bowels are divided in themselves. This is the fruit of popery, when true kings are slain and shouldered out by monks and friars.
Please it your grace. The barons of this land, all while their arms against the king, conducted by the legate of the Pope, together with the prince, his highness's son, do crave to be admitted to the presence of the king.
Your son, my Lord John Henry, craves to see your majesty, and brings with him beside the barons that revolted from your grace. O piercing fight, he fumbleth in the mouth, his speech doth fail. Lift up yourself, my lord, and see the prince to comfort you in death.
Oh, let me see my father ere he die. Oh, uncle, were you here and suffered him to be thus poisoned by a damned monk? Oh, he is dead. Father, sweet father, speak.
Speech doth fail, he hasteth to his end.
Lord, give me leave to joy the dying king with sight of these, his nobles, kneeling here with daggers in their hands, who offer up their lives for ransom of their foul offence. Now, good my lord, if you forgive them all, lift up thy hand in token you forgive.
We humbly thank your majesty, and vow to fight for England and her king, in spite of Lewis and the power of France, who hitherward march in all haste. We crown young Henry in his father's stead.
Help, help, he dies. Oh, father, look on me.
King John, farewell. In token of thy faith, and sign thou diest the servant of the Lord, lift up thy hand, that we may witness thou diest the servant of our Saviour Christ. Now joy betide thy soul. What noise is this?
Help, lords. The Dauphin maketh hitherward with ensigns of defiance in the wind, and all our army standeth at a gaze, expecting what their leaders will command.
Let's arm ourselves. And young King Henry's right, and beat the power of France to sea again.
Philip, not so. But I will to the prince, and bring him face to parle with you.
My Lord of Salisbury, Yourself shall march with me, and we shall bring these troubles to an end.
Sweet uncle, if thou love thy sovereign, let not a stone of Swinstead Abbey stand, but pull the house about the friars' ears, for they have killed my father and my king.
Of France. Young Henry, England's king, requires to know the reason of the claim that thou canst make to anything of his. King John, that did offend, is dead and gone. See where his breathless trunk in presence lies, and he, as heir apparent to the throne, is now succeeded in his father's ruin.
Lewis, what law of arms doth lead thee thus to keep possession of my lawful right? Answer, in fine, if thou wilt take a peace and make surrender of my right again, or try thy title with the dint of sword. I tell thee, Dauphin, Henry fears thee not, for now the barons cleave unto their king, and what thou hast in England they did get.
Henry of England. Now that John is dead, that was the chieftest enemy to France, I may be the more rather induced to peace. But Salisbury, and you barons of the realm, this strange revolt agrees not with the oath you on Bury altar lately swear.
Nor did the oath your highness there did take agree with the honour of the Prince of France.
My lord, what answer make you to the king?
Faith, Philip, this I say. It boots not me, nor any prince nor power of Christendom, to seek to win this island Albion, unless he have a party in the realm by treason, to help him win his wars. Since the party that were on my side are fled from me, it boots not me to fight, but upon conditions, as mine honour wills. I am contented to depart the realm.
On what conditions will your highness yield?
This shall we think upon on more advice.
Kings and princes, let these broils have end, and at more leisure talk upon the league. Meanwhile to Worcester we will bear the king, and there inter his body as beseems. First, inside of Louis, heir of France. Lords, take the crown and place it on his head, that by succession is our lawful king.
God save the king!
Thus England's peace begins in Henry's reign. The bloody wars are closed with happy league. Let England live but true within itself. Never can the world wrong her state. Louis, thou shalt be bravely shipped to France. But never Frenchman got of English ground the 20th part that thou hast conquered. So found thy hand. To Worcester we will march. Lords all, lay hands to bear your sovereign with obsequies of honour to his grave. For if England's peers and peoples join in one, nor Pope, nor France, nor Spain can do them wrong.